Guys, what the fuck? Welcome back. My name is Eve. I like to talk about disturbing books and recommend them to you. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys a festive book to read that you will be able to finish in one sitting before Christmas comes, which I know Christmas is literally day after tomorrow, but I finished this book in a sitting and it's ridiculous and it was a lot of fun. Now, I had seen this book circulate for fucking years and I never picked it up because I never took it seriously. There's something about books that have ridiculous titles that I'm just a little apprehensive about because I always think they're going to be just gimmicky. You know what I mean? But this one was actually fucking funny and really entertaining. Also, the glasses are off because the glare was so fucking bad that I couldn't focus on anything else. So get a snack, get a drink, settle in, because today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the human Santa-Pede. Because what the fuck? Now, this book is available on Kindle Unlimited if you are curious about it. This video will have spoilers. So if you're curious about this book and you don't want to hear any spoilers, go check it out and then come back to here and we can have a little discussion about it. Because this is one of the oddest books that I've read. Like, who the fuck even thinks of the human Santa-Pede? I don't know. Fucking genius, though. This shit is hilarious. This story takes place in the North Pole. And on this particular day, it is snowing a lot harder than it usually is. And this is where we find Finklefoot and his wife. And they're just chit chatting, watching the snow. And they're talking about how they're worried that if production doesn't start flowing soon, that Santa, aka Fat Bastard, aka Kris Kringle, aka Father Christmas, aka He Who Shall Be Obeyed, if they don't get production done soon, they're scared that he will fire all of them and just import a bunch of elves from Poland that will do the job faster and for less than what the current elves are working for. Dude, these elves aren't making shit anyway. Like, sure, they get like a roof over their head and food to eat, but they're working ridiculous hours. Like 12 hours. Like, this is basically a sweatshop. The North Pole is a sweatshop. Like, the fuck? Finklefoot and his wife are having a conversation about this and expressing their worries about the snow and getting snowed in and all this other stuff. And that's when Finklefoot's wife is like, well, maybe you can put in a good word with Mrs. Claus, aka Jessica, who is an ex stripper. And she has a certain fetish for people who are shorter, living out her dream, being in the North Pole, because when Santa isn't pleasing her or is too busy looking at his naughty and nice list, she's able to recruit some of Finklefoot's men that he works with, well, elves that he works with, and she brings them into her room and Mrs. Claus is fucking the elves. What the fuck? And so while all of this is happening, the discussion is happening, we are seeing that this mysterious figure is like tiptoeing around the North Pole and doing some questionable shit. The mystery figure breaks into this elf's home, this couple who are elves, and he fucking kidnaps them. And that is where we see the beginning. Ooh, that is where we see the beginning of the human Santa-Pede with these two elves. One gets stitched to the other's ass. Like, if you don't know what a human centipede is, Google it real quick. The next morning, everything is back to normal. Like, the snow isn't crazy, so they're able to return back to work. And Santa and Finklefoot have a conversation, and Santa is like, okay, to make up for the day that we lost yesterday, you guys are gonna have to work all through today, all through the next day, into Christmas Eve, all that shit to make up for today. And Finklefoot is like, what the fuck? Every fucking year. Literally, he goes on like a tangent. He's like, every fucking year there's some type of mess up, blah, 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 blah. And so he's like, okay, this will be the last year. We are going to work really hard and nothing is going to go wrong. We'll just work through this. And Finklefoot agrees to these terms of like, okay, we will work 24/7 until Christmas Eve to make up for this blizzard if no elves get sent to the human world. If you're confused about this, let me explain. In the book, we realize that if an elf doesn't act correctly or do something correctly, they get sent to the human world. And in the human world, elves aren't treated as equal. Not that they're treated as equal in the North Pole, but in the human world, it's a lot worse. So none of the elves want to go to the human world, and that is what Finklefoot is trying to get done. He's like, okay, I will do all this. My people will work for you 25/8 around the clock if no elves for the next year, I think it was, are banished to the human world. Santa agrees. He's like, okay, as long as there's no hiccups or anything and you guys get production done, everything should be fine and I shouldn't have to do that. So that seems fair. But of course, the two elves that were kidnapped and made into the beginning chain of the human Santa-Pede, they don't show up for their fucking shift. So Finklefoot is like, fuck, of course, something fucking has to go wrong. And so he tells Santa and he's like, I'm going to go look for them real quick because I think their job was they had to cut the puzzle pieces. And one of the other elves was like complaining, like, we're just going to be selling pieces of cardboard because our puzzle piece cutters didn't show up for their fucking shift. So Finklefoot sets out to go find them. He can't find them. So he comes to Santa, and Santa is like, okay, I will try to help you find them. Kind of, sort of. Santa doesn't really fucking help. And they go to the stables where the reindeer are, and they realize that all Rudolph, the most important fucking reindeer, is fucking gone. And this is where we go back to the mysterious figure that's starting this Santa-Pede, and we see that Rudolph is now added into the mix, which makes it very uncomfortable for the elf that is in front of him because Rudolph has antlers. Also, no one knows the gender of the reindeer. Like, they're kind of just guessing. I thought that was a very interesting piece of information because what do you mean you don't know the gender of any of the reindeer? So, Rudolph is added into the mix. Poor fucking Rudolph. And so, also, while this is happening, Finklefoot is still trying to find the fucking two elves that went missing. And so Santa is just like, okay, I really don't want to do this anymore, but can you go talk to like my other people who might have something to do with it? And it's all the people who want death to Christmas and death to Santa Claus. And so one of them is Krampus. There's also like 3 or 4 more, I think. And those 3 or 4 minus Krampus are all playing poker. And that's when Finklefoot goes in there, he talks to them. He's like, "Oh, where's Krampus?" And everyone else is like, "Oh, he had a tummy issue or something like that. He's never missed a poker game." Blah 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 blah. Guess what? Spoiler warning, it's Krampus. Krampus is the one doing the human Santa-Pede. And so he drugs Santa and Mrs. Claus and he puts them in front of the human Santa-Pede. And at this point, he has somehow collected 50 elves. So it's so it's Santa, Mrs. Claus, his stripper wife. Um I think it goes Rudolph because I think he like switched up the way that they are, the order. I think he switched up the order. Anyway, it gets fucking ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. We find out why Krampus is doing all of this. He of course, hates Christmas and he's not taken seriously. And a lot of parents and children don't believe in him anymore. But it's all the main reason, the straw that broke the camel's back, is because Santa borrowed his snowblower and didn't return it. Yeah, but Binglefoot is able to save Christmas, and he gets a song written about him, which is what all the elves wanted when it came to rescuing Christmas and like saving Santa and all this shit. Is they wanted a song written about them. If you want to see the song, it's at the end of the book. It's an actual fucking song about asses to mouth and come all ye faithful. I don't fucking know. I read it and I was like, what the fuck? Asses tight in the mouth. I don't know. It was fucking ridiculous. So that is the summary of the book. My personal thoughts on it. It was fun. It was different. It could have been shorter in my opinion. Like it definitely could have been cut down. There were some pieces where I was just like I don't really understand what the point of this is. Also, there was a lot of the elves kept saying, oh, we can't do this, blah, 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 blah. We're not Mexicans. And they said it 3 or 4 times. I marked it every time. And at the end, they even point out, they're like, okay, we used to say that, but we can't, like, it's starting to sound racist. And I'm like, yeah, dude. I, I was like, what the fuck? Do I recommend this book? Yeah. Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? Just to say that I read it. Is it like the greatest story ever? No, but it's funny and it was interesting. Like I was able to finish it in a day, so it couldn't have been that bad. But yeah, if you're looking for something absolutely ridiculous and to make all of your friends and family squirm when you say, I'm reading The Human Santa-Pede for Christmas, um, here you go. Here's your recommendation. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me if you want me to do a different fucking book deep dive, whatever you guys want. Tell me what you want. And I will leave you with this important piece of information that I learned from this book, that elves have notoriously large penises. But that was it. I hope everyone has a great day.